was ruthless, and the government of the day, headed by our Prime Minister, was ready to help and deliver service to many farmers.
I want to say as Prime Minister how pleased and proud I am to be here in the sugar city of Fiji. Some of the most hardworking people in Fiji are sugarcane farmers. Like so many Fijians, some of you in Lautoka are still recovering from the impact of Cyclone Winston 5 months ago. I know because many of you have told me that you are grateful for the Help for Homes initiative that has helped you to rebuild your homes. This initiative has never been done by any other government, and we have so far spent $88 million, and we have allocated another $20 million in the new budget year to help those who may have missed out in the first round. As you know, we have also allocated in the new budget $205 million to rebuild all the schools, health centers, public facilities, and for agriculture and fisheries rehabilitation. Friends, I'm here today talking to you about a number of issues that affect you, both personally and as cane farmers. And I do so as someone who takes great pride in improving the circumstances of ordinary Fijians like yourselves. In order for you to participate equally in the Fijian economy, you first of all had to be treated as equal citizens of our country. And this is what my government has given you, because under the 2013 Constitution, you are no longer second-class citizens. I know many of you are descendants of the Gilbitiers who were subjected to the harshest of conditions. The prejudiced Indo-Fijians suffered, stretched through colonial times and into independent Fiji. Many of you suffered a great deal during the coup of 1987 and 2000. But I'm proud to say that those bad days are gone. Through the Constitution, we have a common and equal citizenry. And we are enjoying equal rights. Equal rights has been very important for human dignity and the lives of every Fijian. Now that everyone is equal in the eyes of our supreme law, when you give people assistance, it also has to be given equally on the basis of merit, on the basis of need. To improve the lives of every Fijian, my government is spending a great amount of money on roads, on water, on electricity and other services. I know some of you may still not have access to electricity or piped water, but many of you know, many of you now enjoy these services for the first time, and you know our officials are working hard to getting you fresh water, piped water and electricity. And my government will continue its program of extending them to as many people as possible across the country. We have also provided a lot of money for education, free schooling and scholarships, and tertiary loans to enable many of our young people, your children and grandchildren, to gain access to higher learning. For example, in this New Year budget year, my government allocated $10.63 million for the National Topper Scheme, the NTS, an increase of $630,000 from last year's allocation. This also means that there is 30 additional places which will be awarded in this new budget year for top students to compete for. We also continue the tertiary education loan scheme, the TELS. This year we set aside $42.5 million for this scheme. And such initiatives are part of my government's efforts for improving our education system and making it more affordable for ordinary Fijians, so they can get the quality qualified in their respective fields of interest. Qualifications are opening up all sorts of possibility for ordinary Fijians to get better jobs, start their own businesses, and participate widely in the economy. We have also given low-income earners access to free medicine and given the elderly pensions for the first time. What we've been trying to do is produce a fairer society. And we are producing a fairer society, a more equal society, in which even the poorest family has an opportunity to improve its circumstances. When it comes to the sugar industry, there was no question that it was in steady decline until my government intervened to put it on a better footing. For example, the amount of cane needed to produce sugar has been drastically reduced by making the process more efficient. As you know, the tons cane to tons sugar, just a few years ago, the TCT was about 13 or 14. Now it's just over 8. Friends, before my government took office, our sugar mills were literally falling apart. If you remember, the previous government engaged some Indian companies to refurbish those mills, but the result was not good. I remember telling the public that we had $85 million, which we loaned to pay the Indian Exim Bank for these mill parts, practically thrown into the sea. They were practically useless. And I got word from FSC that the mill part were only 50% could be used out of the whole mill part that we got from India. And out of that 50%, it could only be used 50% of the time. And to ensure the renewal of cane leases, so we had to direct additional resources to save those mills and make them more efficient. To ensure the renewal of sugarcane leases, we spent about $9 million a year to assist those farmers whose leases have expired or are expiring. And we are paying a top-up of 4%, as you know, above the 6% paid to the TLTB to provide landowners with an incentive to renew those leases. I know there's been a lot of talk on about not enough being done for the sugarcane industry, especially in the wake of the 2 bills that are now before a standing committee of Parliament. And as you've read in the media in the last couple of weeks, certain opposition politicians and former politicians have been spreading a lot of misinformation about what is it in these 2 bills. They claim the bills take away the rights of cane farmers. They even say that the bills are forcing farmers into another gilbit. Ridiculous notion, I say, that insults the memories of those who genuinely suffered when they were first brought to Fiji. These people who have come before the committee have been making all sorts of wild comments. They have caused a great deal of misunderstanding about what is it, these bills, what are in the bills, and they have done it in a manner that is very irresponsible. Unfortunately, I have to say to you today that a lot of the comments that have been made by people like Mahendra Chaudhary, by Prem Singh and Biman Prasad and others are completely false. As usual, they are trying to politicize the sugarcane industry, and they are trying to use you for their own political gain. In particular, they are using you to drive a wedge between you and I, and to create a distrust, to create uncertainty in the sugar industry. But I want to tell you that it's not going to work, because friends, you know, I've always been there for you. I've always served your best interests, and I want to assure you all today that I will never use you in the way that I are using you for my own political gain. I will never exploit you, and I will always be straight with you, If something cannot be done, I will tell you so. I have and will be honest with you always. And I can assure you that these bills will not adversely affect you as individual cane farmers. And remember, always remember that your rights will always be protected under the Constitution. There are a couple of amendments, as I've mentioned in the couple of talks that I've made, that I will bring about in the bill. For example, registered growers will no longer have to pay a fee for having their farms registered or changing their records. That provision will be removed. In relation to the Cane Growers Council, I know some of the politicians have been pushing for elections. But as you know, that has been very detrimental to the interests of the industry. In fact, Mahendra Chaudhary, when he was Minister for Finance and Sugar, was the one that put in a proposal to remove elections for the Cane Growers Council. Now he's done a turnaround and wants it back. But as I said, that has been an election has been will be very detrimental to the interests of the industry. Instead, we will expand the membership of the council. I'm sure you will all agree that a council that is not politicized will perform a lot better. So I will be increasing the membership of the council by ensuring that each district will be represented on the council. Furthermore, this expanded council will be required by law to consult all the growers through their sectors and districts on a regular basis. One of the requirements that we want to put in the amendments to the bill is that the Cane Growers Council must, on a regular basis, go out and consult all the growers. Friends, the other significant aspect of the bill that we are going to change is to remove the section on industrial disputes. As you know, since 1984, a provision was put in place to treat farmers like employees by bringing them under an industrial dispute mechanism. This was like going back to the colonial times, and the law has been in place since 1984. Unfortunately, this provision was carried through the bill, but I will take this part out. This means that if you decide not to plant or harvest your cane, that will be your choice. Whether it is a protest or not, we are empowering you to make the decision for yourself. If your neighbor wants to harvest and cultivate, that will be his choice. So friends, these are some of the changes we are making. I know some politicians are claiming that the tribunal is not independent, but that is simply not true. The tribunal is appointed by the Chief Justice. Some people are also claiming that the current master ward will be changed as soon as the bills become law. Take it from me, it won't. It will not be changed. The current master ward will continue. However, in any further negotiations regarding the master ward, the Growers Council must have an input. The Growers Council must have an input. The FSC must have an input. The public must have an input. And the law forces the minister to make sure that the new master award cannot be implemented without the consent of the Growers Council and the FSC. So all these protections are there for you in the law. Let me now announce some of the other initiatives that we'll be undertaking over the next few months to help you as cane growers. As chair of the TLTB, I have directed the TLTB and also the Lands Department to ensure that for all leases that are expiring, the lessee must be told 5 years in advance whether the lease is to be extended or not renewed. So that you will no longer be in danger of finding out just before the lease expires that you have to leave. This gives you certainty and enables you to make proper plans to find somewhere else to live. It is about giving leaseholders security and peace of mind to enable them to properly manage their affairs and their life. But I've made this comment in the last couple of meetings I've had that TLTP has informed me that some of you leaseholders whose leases have expired have not fronted up to the TLTP for renewal. I also want to announce that TLTP has set aside $500,000 to be matched by the government with another $500,000 to assist tenants who are disadvantaged, who are behind in their rent and are facing financial hardship. This includes the elderly without pensions and who are ill, tenants of all ages with a chronic illness, those who have lost their jobs, or those with disabilities. There is specific assistance for elderly cane farming tenants above the age of 60, of course, with no other source of income other than cane proceeds. We will pay the leases for them. The TLTP board, of which I'm the chairman, has also agreed to set aside another $1 million to assist those people who hold leases and who have been affected by Cyclone Winston. This will go towards the payment of their leases, and more details on this will be released in the next couple of weeks. I also want to announce today that the government will provide replanting assistance to those farmers who have been affected by Cyclone Winston. As you know, my government has allocated $11 million to the replanting program, and planting effort and Cyclone victims will be given the first priority. Upon finalization of the total hectares damaged, we estimate that about $2,000 a hectare will be given to each recipient. This is available immediately. All you need to do is visit the FSC, who will make an assessment of the farms and the damage, and they will give you the appropriate assistance. But the $2,000 a hectare will be, the one I mentioned, will be given to each recipient. And this money will also be used to assist other cane farmers for their replanting on existing cane fields, not just fallow land. That is very important also. Friends, the burning of cane is also a growing problem, and we are responding to the needs of those farmers whose crop is burned. If you are targeted, you can now report the burning to the nearest police post, and that report will be action from the post. You previously could not do this, but now you can. The FSC will come to your assistance by working closely with you to take your cane to the mill as quickly as possible. I've also received requests about those farms who have debris in their farms, iron roofing and iron rods and wood that have come from homes and factories. And I've given my endorsement for FSC for this farm, for cane in these farms that can be burned. Okay, you can burn those cane, but it has to be cane fields which have had debris in them, roofing iron and nails and all sorts. So let's be honest with one another. Please you cannot just go out and burn your cane. Let FSC know, and let the police know that you are going to burn the cane, because we need proof that there's debris in your field before you can burn cane. I know there's also concern about the condition of cane access roads. I've been told that we fixed about 92% of the cane access roads in Fiji, but I think that's not enough. We will have to have a closer look at this, and with the increased allocation in the budget, together with the EU assistance, we are going to upgrade many more of those roads. We have been very fortunate to secure the services of Mr. Vishnu Mohan, as I've been saying in the last couple of weeks. to take over as chair of the FSC and assist the CEO and the FSC board. He will also work very closely with the farmers. Mr. Mohan, as some of you know, most of you know, is a distinguished banker. We had the Pacific Regional Operation of the ANZ Bank. He has also experience as a commodity trader and is a familiar face in Fiji, having been the chairman of the Fiji Public Service Commission. I know some people have said that he's only a banker. What does he know about the sugar industry or sugarcane? But the modern day sugarcane industry isn't just about production, it's also about marketing. And we need to make a bigger effort to find new markets and give our growers the best possible return. It's also about running mills efficiently. I'm convinced that Mr. Mohan has the skills to take the industry to another level. Part of his job will be to preside over an improvement in the way FSC deals with people in the industry. So hopefully there will be a lot of improvement in the way FSC deals with you as cane farmers. And I look forward to him starting in his new role on the 8th of August. So friends, with these announcements, I want to assure you all that the sugar industry is here to stay. Please don't get carried away with the negative stories. The critics are peddling. I hear they're having pocket meetings and spreading a lot of misinformation. But please take no notice. We are here to support you, and we are determined to do so. My new permanent secretary is here, Yogesh, please. We'll be working very closely with the permanent secretary for agriculture. Stand Singh. This is the new permanent secretary for agriculture. Don't stand on together. Because as you know, there are great opportunities for other forms of food production in our sugar producing areas, and that's where G10 comes in. Unlike my opponents, I don't talk the industry down. I want to tell you that never has talk been so cheap when it comes from the lips of those has-beens and opposition MPs. They have the same basic speech to blame Bainimarama, blame the government. For those of you that have watched Parliament proceedings, when Biman Prasad and Prem Singh stand up and talk about the sugar industry, it's as if the whole sugar industry is going to collapse on us. If the whole world is going to come down and it's going to be the end of the world. But they're trying to blame everyone but themselves. But it has been left to us to take up the challenge, and we intend to meet it. It is my obligation as your Prime Minister to do so. We are ending decades of neglect and mismanagement in the sugarcane industry. But not only that, we are ending decades of racial politics. We are ending decades of manipulation by opportunistic politicians of ordinary cane farmers. My government is working as hard as it can to turn our industry around and guarantee its future. Guarantee your future and the future of your families and children. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you this morning, and I look forward to meeting as many of you as possible. I've forgotten last week there was been talk about in the bill. There's been talk of the government acquiring or having ownership of the FSC, and that has been politicians have been spreading word that the ownership of FSC by government is not good, not telling you that government has been footing the bill for this, the rest of the shareholders for the last few years. The rest of the shareholders haven't given any money at all. So the bill allows government to buy its shares. I thank you all. God bless you.